Welcome to the deep dive. Let's get straight to it. We're talking about something that impacts, well, pretty much all of us, especially navigating life here in the US with its unique pressures. The power of how we talk to ourselves, and honestly, how much we genuinely like ourselves. Think about it.
Mm.
How often do you catch yourself being way harsher on yourself than you'd ever be on a friend?
Oh, it's a constant thing for so many people.
Yeah.
The sources we've been looking at really highlight how common negative self-perception is.
Especially here, right, with work demands, social media.
Exactly, particularly for individuals in the U.S. dealing with, demanding careers. That constant barrage of social media comparisons, it just piles on.
Yeah.
And this isn't just about feeling a bit down sometimes. It really has a knock-on effect on our mental health, our overall well-being.
Right.
So our goal today is really to cut through the noise and give you some solid, no-nonsense strategies, things you can actually use to cultivate a kinder inner voice and, well, a stronger sense of self-worth.
Yeah.
Right here, right now.
Okay, so let's break it down then. Self-talk, that internal soundtrack that's always playing in our heads, it's yours, like a hype track or more of a harsh critique.
Good question.
Because what the research shows is pretty clear, isn't it? When we consciously choose to make that inner dialogue more positive, it's not just, wishful thinking.
Not at all.
It actually boosts our ability to perform, helps us bounce back when things go wrong, which is crucial in a fast-paced environment like the US, and genuinely lifts our spirits. It's like retraining that voice from a constant critic.
A supportive coach.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if we connect that internal dialogue to something even more fundamental, it's self-love. Think of self-love as recognizing your inherent worth, treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend.
Okay.
It's not about being perfect or, indulging every single whim.
Right, not self-indulgence.
No. It's about accepting yourself, the good, the bad, and the in-between bits, while still recognizing your strengths. And findings, like those in Psychology Today, strongly suggest this foundation of self-acceptance leads to some pretty significant benefits,
Such as?
like lower stress and anxiety, something many in the U.S. deal with daily and even healthier relationships. When you genuinely like yourself, you approach to the world from a much more secure and open place.
All right, so this all sounds good in theory, but how do we actually do it? How do we flip the switch? Let's get practical. First step, affirmations.
Ah, yes, affirmations.
Now, I know some people might find these maybe a bit cheesy,
Yeah, they can get that reputation.
but there's actually some solid evidence suggesting they can be really effective, right? Especially when you tailor them to your specific life and, the challenges you face here in the US. What exactly are affirmations, and how can our listeners start using them in a way that feels, well, genuine?
Think of affirmations as sort of mental post-it notes, positive statements you intentionally repeat to, like rewire your thinking patterns.
Oh,
Can make them stick, especially for someone navigating the realities of life in the U.S. They really need to feel relevant. So instead of something super vague like, I am successful, maybe try something more specific.
tied to the day-to-day.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Like, I am capable of tackling the challenges at work this week. Or, acknowledging the importance of connection, maybe I am actively building meaningful relationships with the people around me.
I like that.
Even something like, I am making steady progress towards my goals. That can be powerful in a culture that often emphasizes constant, like major achievement.
That feels much more grounded, yeah. So for someone listening, maybe while they're stopping traffic or grabbing a quick lunch here in the US, what's a simple first step? How do they actually start incorporating affirmations?
Well, a really practical approach is to spend just a few minutes, maybe right now or as soon as you can, to just jot down 2 or 3 areas where you tend to be hardest on yourself, or where you'd like to feel more confident. Then, craft a short, positive statement for each of those areas. Keep these affirmations handy, maybe on your phone, a note on your bathroom mirror.
Or a reminder on your calendar.
Yeah, even a recurring reminder. Make a point to repeat them to yourself either silently or out loud first thing in the morning, or maybe whenever you notice those familiar pangs of self-doubt creeping in.
So consistency is key.
Absolutely. Consistency, even just a few times a day, is what really makes the difference over time.
Okay, that sounds like a manageable first step. Now, what about those automatic negative thoughts? The ones that just seem to pop up no matter how positive we try to be.
Ah, the inner critic.
Yeah. Our next strategy is all about tackling those head on, challenging negative thoughts. This feels particularly important when we're dealing with the daily stresses and, pressures we often face in the US. How do we actually start to challenge those inner critics?
This is such a crucial skill, I think, for anyone wanting to cultivate a healthier mindset. When a negative thought surfaces, and the first thing to do is just pause.
Just stop for a second.
Yeah, take a breath and really examine that thought.
Hmm.
Ask yourself, okay, what's the actual evidence for this? Is this really true, or is it just a story I'm telling myself?
Like an old habit.
Exactly. Think about a common scenario in the U.S. Maybe you didn't get a promotion you're really hoping for, right?
Mm.
And the immediate thought is, I'm not good enough. I'm going to be stuck in this job forever.
Ooh, yeah. That's a tough feeling, and I bet a lot of listeners working hard in the U.S. can absolutely relate to that kind of fear.
For sure. So in that moment, you question it. Is it absolutely true that you're not good enough? Probably not.
Unlikely, right?
Right. Were there other qualified candidates? What feedback did you actually receive? And can you learn from it? Have you had successes in the past? You need to challenge the black and white nature of that negative thought.
Okay, so question the certainty of it.
Yes. Then try to reframe it into something more balanced and, well, realistic. Instead of I'm not good enough, you could say something like, okay, I'm disappointed I didn't get the promotion this time. That's valid.
Acknowledge the feeling.
Yes. However, I've received constructive feedback, and I'm going to focus on developing those areas. This one setback doesn't define my entire worth or my whole future career path.
Right.
This process of questioning and reframing, it definitely takes practice, but it's actually a core principle in approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which is widely used and recognized here in the U.S.
That's a really helpful way to think about it, almost like being a detective. Yeah, investigating your own thoughts. Okay, our third strategy shifts gears a bit. Something we often hear about, but maybe don't always prioritize. Creating a self-care routine.
Ah, self-care.
Now, I know self-care can sometimes sound like a luxury, maybe even indulgent, but our sources really emphasize that it's actually fundamental to self-love, especially when we're juggling the demands of life in the U.S.
You're absolutely spot on. It's not about, elaborate spa days or week-long retreats necessarily.
So those sound nice.
Huh. Yeah, they are great if you can do them. But for most people in the U.S., self-care is more about intentionally weaving small, regular moments into your day. Things that help you recharge, de-stress, and just connect with yourself.
Micro moments.
Exactly. Think micro moments. Maybe a 15-minute walk outside during your lunch break, putting on your favorite music during your commute just to unwind.
Instead of listening to stressful news, maybe.
Right. Or setting aside just 20 minutes before bed to read a book or pursue a hobby, even making a quick call to a supportive friend or family member. It's those little pockets of time where you're consciously nurturing your well-being amidst all the busyness.
So it's about finding those small, sustainable things that actually fit into our often packed days here. What's a good way for someone listening in the U.S. to, start building this into their week?
I would suggest identifying just one small act of self-care you can commit to this week. Just one.
Okay, start small.
Really small.
Hmm.
It can be as simple as making sure you take a proper lunch break away from your desk 3 times this week. Or maybe spending 5 minutes each evening doing a simple stretching routine.
Yeah,
The key is to start with something achievable and then build from there.
got it.
It's about creating a consistent habit, not adding another stressful task to your already long to-do list.
Start small and make it stick. I like that. Okay, our next strategy highlights the power of our environment and the people we surround ourselves with. Building a positive support network.
Yes, this is huge.
In a society like ours in the U.S., which can sometimes feel both hyper-connected and, ironically, kind of isolating, the people we spend our time with can really shape how we feel about ourselves, can't they?
Absolutely. Our relationships have such a profound impact on our self-perception. If you're constantly around individuals who are, critical, negative, or just leave you feeling drained.
Yeah, it's hard to feel good about yourself then.
It's incredibly challenging to cultivate self-love in that kind of environment. So a really practical step for listeners in the U.S. is to, assess their social circle. Honestly.
Take stock.
Yeah. Who are the people who genuinely lift you up? Who celebrates your wins and offers real support when you're facing difficulties? Make a conscious effort to invest more time and energy in nurturing those positive connections.
And the flip side.
On the flip side, it's also crucial to establish healthy boundaries with individuals who consistently bring negativity into your life. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean cutting people off entirely, though sometimes that's needed.
Right.
But it might involve limiting your interactions or just being more mindful of how their energy affects you and protecting your own.
Setting boundaries definitely can be tough, but it sounds so important for protecting our own mental space. Okay, finally, let's talk about practices like mindfulness and meditation. These might seem intimidating to some, maybe a bit out there, but they're becoming increasingly accessible here in the US and have a really powerful connection to developing self-compassion. How can our listeners practically integrate these into their daily lives?
Well, mindfulness at its core is really just about bringing your attention to the present moment, simply noticing what's happening right now without judgment.
Without judging the thoughts or feelings.
Exactly. It helps us become more aware of our thoughts and feelings, including those negative self-judgments, without getting sort of swept away by them. And meditation, which is often used as a tool to cultivate mindfulness, can also be a really powerful way to foster self-kindness, self-compassion.
And it doesn't have to be complicated.
Not at all. There are so many accessible resources available now, especially for beginners here in the US. Numerous free apps like Calm and Headspace offer short, guided meditations, some lasting just a few
It's
minutes.
just a few minutes.
Yeah. You don't need any special equipment or, hours of time to start experiencing the benefits. Even dedicating just 5 minutes each day to a simple breathing exercise or a short guided meditation can make a really noticeable difference in your ability to stay grounded and treat yourself with more compassion.
It sounds like even those small, consistent moments of mindfulness can really add up over time. Okay, now we've talked about all these actionable strategies, but it's also important to remember this isn't just based on like anecdotal evidence or nice ideas, right?
Yeah, absolutely not.
There's actual science backing up the power of positive self-talk and self-love. Can you just remind us of some of those key research findings again?
Certainly. As we touched on earlier, research published in a Journal of Personality and Social Psychology has shown that practicing positive self-affirmations, those things we talked about, can actually enhance our ability to solve problems and build resilience when we're facing stressful situations. Think about how valuable those skills are when navigating the daily pressures of life in the U.S., from workplace challenges to personal setbacks.
Incredibly valuable.
For sure. Furthermore, the findings highlighted in Psychology Today, which link self-love to lower levels of stress and anxiety, are particularly relevant in our often demanding and, frankly, fast-paced environment.
Yeah, definitely relevant here.
And it's worth reiterating that the whole process of challenging and reframing negative thoughts, that's a fundamental aspect of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT,
Right, CBT.
which is a really well-established and effective therapeutic approach widely utilized right here in the U.S. for addressing various mental health concerns. So these strategies aren't just based on good intentions. They are rooted in solid psychological research.
That really underscores the fact that these aren't just sort of feel-good tips. They have a real, tangible impact on our well-being. So to bring it all together for our listeners here in the U.S. who are looking to cultivate more positive self-talk and self-love, what are the key practical takeaways?
Okay, the core implementable strategies we've covered are, first, consciously practicing positive affirmations that really resonate with your personal experiences.
Make them personal.
Yes. Second, actively challenging and reframing those persistent negative thoughts, becoming that detective.
Uh-huh.
Third, establishing a self-care routine with small, regular activities that truly nourish you. Fourth, making a deliberate effort to surround yourself with supportive and positive relationships and setting boundaries where needed.
Right.
And fifth, incorporating accessible mindfulness and meditation practices into your daily life, even just for a few minutes.
And the crucial thing to keep in mind is that this is a process, isn't it? It's not like you just achieve perfection overnight.
Oh, precisely. It's an ongoing journey, absolutely. And it's deeply personal with its own ups and downs. The key is really to be patient and kind to yourself throughout the process.
Kind to yourself during the process.
Exactly. And to consistently practice these strategies, even small, consistent efforts, truly can lead to significant positive changes in how you feel about yourself and how you navigate your day-to-day life here in the U.S.
So as you go about your week here in the U.S., whether you're navigating a busy workday, dealing with personal challenges, or even just scrolling through social media, maybe take a moment to consider at just one specific area of your life where cultivating a little more self-compassion could make a real difference in your overall well-being. Really let that sink in.
That's a powerful point to reflect on. And ultimately, what we really want you to take away from this deep dive today is that self-love isn't some kind of luxury or a fleeting trend. It's actually a fundamental ingredient for a fulfilling and joyful life.
Yeah.
You are